Sometimes, the loudest person in the room feels powerful, but the most powerful person is usually the quietest one. Welcome to Career Canvas Power, where transformation becomes your identity. Here, we turn knowledge into real power for your life. Law 9 by Robert Greene: win through your actions, never through arguments. There is a silent battle happening inside you almost every day, and most of the time you don't even notice it. It begins in a very small moment. Someone says something that you know is wrong. Instantly, your mind reacts. Thoughts start forming quickly. You begin to build your response. You want to correct them, to explain the truth, to prove your understanding is better. This feeling is not just about truth. It is about ego. It is about the desire to be right. And in that moment, you face a choice, one that seems small but shapes your power in life. You can either argue, or you can act. Most people choose to argue. It feels natural. It feels immediate. It feels satisfying. When you argue, you feel active, engaged, intelligent. You feel like you are defending truth. And when the other person becomes silent, you feel like you have won. But what you do not see is what happens beneath the surface. The other person may stop speaking, but inside them something hardens. They do not feel convinced. They feel challenged. They feel attacked. And slowly, they begin to resist you, not openly, but silently. This is the hidden cost of argument. You win the moment, but you lose influence. If you observe carefully, you will notice that arguments rarely change people. They only change the atmosphere. They create tension. They create distance. They create a subtle competition where both sides are trying to protect their identity. Because when you argue, you are not just discussing ideas. You are touching ego, and ego is one of the strongest forces inside a human being. People do not like to feel wrong. They do not like to feel corrected. Even when they know they are wrong, they resist accepting it, if it is forced upon them. This is why logic alone is not enough. You can have perfect reasoning, strong evidence, clear explanation, and still fail to influence someone. Because influence is not just about logic. It is about psychology. It is about understanding how people feel when you interact with them. And when people feel attacked, they stop listening. They stop learning. They stop changing. Now imagine a different approach. Instead of reacting immediately, you pause. You listen. You observe. You do not rush to prove anything. You do not jump into debate. You simply stay calm. And instead of using words to convince, you use actions to demonstrate. You focus on results. You let reality speak. At first, this feels uncomfortable. Your ego feels unsatisfied. It wants to speak. It wants to correct. It wants to win. But you control it. You choose patience over reaction. You choose strategy over impulse. And slowly, something powerful begins to happen. When you stop arguing, you start seeing more. You start understanding people better. You notice their patterns, their thinking, their emotions. You gain information that you would have missed if you were busy proving yourself. And this information becomes your advantage. Because power is not about speaking more, it is about seeing more and acting better. Then your actions begin to create results. And results have a different kind of power. They do not need explanation. They do not need defense. They simply exist. And when people see results, something changes inside them. Their resistance drops. Their curiosity increases. They begin to question their own beliefs. And this time, the change happens naturally, without pressure. This is the true meaning of influence. Not forcing agreement, but creating understanding. Not winning arguments, but winning minds. There is also something else that changes when you follow this approach. Your presence changes. You become calmer. You become more controlled. You stop reacting instantly. And this creates a strong impression on others. People begin to see you as someone who is confident, someone who does not get disturbed easily, someone who focuses on results rather than noise. Silence, when combined with action, creates authority. Because silence alone can look like weakness, but silence with results looks like confidence. It shows that you do not need to prove yourself again and again. You trust your ability. You trust your process. And this trust becomes visible. On the other hand, constant argument creates the opposite image. It shows insecurity. It shows a need for validation. It shows that the person depends on winning conversations to feel strong. And this reduces their power, even if they are intelligent. History gives us clear lessons about this. Think about Socrates. He was extremely intelligent and used arguments to challenge people's beliefs. He exposed ignorance through questioning. But this method made many people feel embarrassed and attacked. Over time, this created strong opposition against him. His situation was complex, involving political and social factors, but one thing is clear: his approach created enemies. And those enemies became powerful enough to end his life. Now consider Galileo Galilei. He introduced ideas that challenged powerful beliefs. But instead of relying only on argument, he used observation and demonstration. He showed evidence. He allowed people to see the truth. Yes, he still faced punishment, including house arrest, but his ideas survived and spread. Because demonstrated truth is harder to destroy than argued truth. These examples teach us an important lesson. Being right is not enough. You must also be effective. And effectiveness comes from strategy, not ego. In your daily life, this law can be applied in many simple but powerful ways. When someone doubts you, instead of arguing, improve your performance. When someone disagrees with your idea, instead of fighting, execute it quietly and show results. When someone challenges you, instead of reacting emotionally, stay calm and focus on proving your point through action. This approach requires patience. It requires discipline. It requires control over your ego. And this is not easy. Because the desire to prove yourself is strong. It gives immediate satisfaction. Winning an argument feels good in the moment. But long-term success requires sacrificing that short-term pleasure. There is also a deeper advantage. When you stop arguing, you reduce unnecessary conflict. You save energy. You stay focused on what truly matters. And over time, this focus creates better outcomes. You move forward while others are stuck in debates. At the same time, you must understand the balance. This law does not mean you should never speak. There are situations where communication is necessary. When clarity is required, when leadership demands direction, when misinformation must be corrected, you have to speak. But even in those moments, your tone should be calm, your words should be measured, and your arguments should be supported by evidence and results. The goal is not silence. The goal is strategic communication, knowing when to speak and when to act. As you move forward in life, you will face many situations where this law will be tested. In studies, in career, in relationships, in social interactions, you will constantly feel the urge to argue. And every time, you will have a choice. You can choose the easy path of immediate reaction, or you can choose the powerful path of controlled action. The easy path gives quick satisfaction. The powerful path gives long-term influence. And in the end, what truly matters is not how many arguments you won, but how much impact you created. Not how many people you defeated in conversation, but how many people you influenced through your actions. Because people may forget what you said. They may ignore your explanations. They may resist your arguments. But they cannot ignore your results. Results create belief. Results create respect. Results create power. And that is the ultimate truth of this law. True power is not in speaking louder. True power is not in proving others wrong. True power is in achieving results so strong that no argument is needed. When your actions speak clearly, your words become unnecessary. And when your results become undeniable, your influence becomes unstoppable. So the next time you feel the urge to argue, pause. Observe, control yourself, and choose action over argument. Because the strongest argument you will ever make in your life is the one you never had to say. Thank you. Remember, real power comes from understanding and applying. Stay connected with Career Canvas Power, your transformation continues.